All right, welcome to video number 38. What do you need for congruence?
Hello, I'm Ms. Les.
I'm Mr. Miller, and we're going to do a couple problems like what's on the upcoming quiz. How about that, Mrs. Les?
Sounds good.
Okay, so there we go. So it says, what additional information would we need to conclude that the triangles are congruent? So we're given some information, and we're supposed to just explain what else would we need to know. All right, now there are a couple ways of doing this. So I think for each of these, there's two possibilities. So for the first possibility is this. We already have two matching sides. If we had the angle in between those, it would be side, angle, side. So we don't know that's true, but we're saying that if we knew that was true, we could conclude they're congruent. So the first possibility is that angle F is congruent to angle V, and we would know the triangles are congruent by side, angle, side. All right, now there's another way. So forget about that angle for now. So I'm going to scratch that out for now. Another way, Ms. Les, is what if this side was congruent to that side? Then we could also conclude that the triangles were congruent. So our second way is that GE congruent to WU. And if that were true, then the triangles would be congruent by side, side, side. So on the quiz, I think they ask you to explain it like in a sentence or two. So you just state what additional information has to be true, and then explain why the triangles would be congruent.
Right, so as long as you can come up with one, you're good.
All right, this last what we have over here. We know that this angle is congruent to that angle, and remember this side is congruent to itself.
Reflexive property, so
yeah.
Always true.
So the first thing I see is that if this side were congruent to that side, then we have matching side, angle, side triplets. All right, and then we could conclude they're congruent. So I'm going to say if xj is congruent to xy, then we would have case of side, angle, side. All right, now in the quiz you just have to give us one way. But let's see what else we can do. So I'm going to scratch that out. Suppose that's not true. We could go for this angle and that angle. So if those were congruent, then we'd have angle, side, angle, and we'd be good. So my second way of doing it is saying angle XWJ is congruent to YWX. And then angle, side, angle. So it's like what one additional piece of information would do it for us. All right, Ms. Les, you ready for your turn?
Yes, I'm ready.
I think you are.
Let's check example.
Ms. Les is pretty good at this.
Okay, so we keep going. So for the second example, I know that this side is congruent to this side, and I also know I have these two angles right here.
So that's not wishing. We know that.
That's a fact.
That's part of the given.
So these are vertical angles. So I know these two are congruent. Okay, so one way, again, if I can show that, or if I know that this side is congruent to this side, I can use side, angle, side. Okay, so if side GX, so if GX is congruent to WX, I can show the triangles are congruent by side, angle, side.
All right.
Okay?
That's one way.
That's one way. So now let's scratch that. Let's pretend this wasn't there to begin with.
Okay.
So I have an angle, side, and I need another piece of information. So for example, if I could show that this angle is congruent to this angle, I could also show that the triangles are congruent by angle, side, angle. So if angle I is congruent to angle Y, then we could use angle, side, angle. Okay?
All right.
And you could come up even with more pieces of information than that. But as long as you can come up with one, and we're showing you two, so that's good.
Right.
And for the last one, part D, so I have angle K is congruent to angle V. I also know that this side Okay, right here is congruent to itself by reflexive property. So again, if I can get another piece of information.
Can we
Okay.
talk briefly what you couldn't
Sure.
do?
Yes.
You couldn't conclude that one side is congruent to another because then you'd have
Right.
angle side side,
Which
which is a
doesn't
bad
work.
case, which
That's
doesn't
the bad
work.
case.
So here we couldn't do either matching sides.
Yeah, so we have to come up with some angles.
Right.
So for example, I could use this angle. If I could show this angle is congruent to this angle. So if I could show angle KWX is congruent to angle VWX, that we could use the angle side. Okay? For example, let's take this off. So pretend this wasn't there.
I never saw it.
Right. It disappeared.
I saw
See,
nothing.
now the pen doesn't work. It only disappears when you don't want it to
Yeah,
disappear.
that's true.
Not in this case. So if I could get another angle, so I have angle K. So for example, angle right here and right here. So if angle KX W was congruent to angle VXW, we could also use angle side.
Sure.
Okay, so both of these cases would work.
Okay, this is one of those things when you see it ahead of time and understand what they want, then is not so bad. We saw it the first time on the quiz, that's kind of tough.
Yeah, might be confusing.
Okay, here you go, same thing. Explain what additional information is needed to conclude that the triangles are congruent. And explain why they'd be congruent, like side, side angle side, etc. Just like the examples. All right, good luck. We're doing well at proofs.
Very good.
Okay,
Good luck.
see you next time.